Hi kids, so good to be here again to talk through a little more mysterious brain business. Remember in the last session, I used my hand as a model to explain your brain, and we looked specifically at fears and worries and where they come from. And remember that I said, amygdala is a bit of a mouthful, so I call that part of the brain the jitters. We also read part 1 of my book to help understand what happens in the brain by hearing about a little girl called Alice and how jitters made it difficult for her to learn to ride her bike. The sad thing was that she really wanted to learn how to ride the bike. So we will take up the story again today and see how Alice learns to calm her worries so she can ride her bike. So just to recap, hand, spinal cord, brainstem for breathing and keeping us alive, eating, sleeping. Limbic system inside, amygdala and hippocampus working to keep us safe and to survive things that might be dangerous. Cortex, thinking brain, richest part of our brain that helps us to learn, use logic, listen, be creative, and even holds our sense of humour, which is why we don't feel like laughing when jitters is about. So now that we know how our brain does these amazing things, we need to learn how to manage the flip. What I'm about to suggest sounds really easy, but it does take practice. Remember that the thinking brain goes offline, so we have to keep practicing calming skills to make them easier to get hold of. Quite simply though, when we flip, it's like our thinking brain is chained up. But we need it to come back quickly so we can use everything we know to choose what to do next. The only way to unchain your brain is to calm it down. There are a few things to remember when you do this. Number 1, top of the pile, most important, is your breathing. Why? Remember I said that the jitters makes you flip and it does that so you can survive danger. Well, guess what? It gets your whole body involved. Remember in the story that Alice's tummy started to twirl and whirl? The reason why your tummy feels bad when you have the jitters is because if you had to run away from danger, you wouldn't want to have a full belly, so that feeling is your tummy trying to empty itself quickly in case you have to run. Another major thing that happens is that your breath comes up into your chest and gets fast and shallow. Again, it is the jitters switching on your body systems and it's making you ready to run. But usually when our breath is up in our chest, we feel uncomfortable and it makes us worry more and it kind of keeps going around itself. So the very first thing to do is to get control of your breathing. Did you know that champion marathon runners never lose control of their breathing? That's why they can keep running for such a long time, because they keep their breath low and slow, right down in their belly, but they work hard and they practice and they practice and they practice to control it themselves. So when you feel a flip, take a breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, slowly. This is one of the easiest things to do. You don't need a medical degree, and it isn't rocket science. It's simply breathe in through your nose, hold it, and breathe out through your mouth. Let's give it a go together now. Breathe in, breathe out. Do it again. Breathe in, breathe out. Just take a moment to notice how you feel. With your breaths low and low in your belly, your brain gets a chance to rest and calm down. Do this before you do anything you find challenging. But most of all, do this as soon as you know that jitters has flipped your brain. Once your breath is under control, another great way to unchain your thinking brain is to get it back online. There's a few ways you can do this. A favourite saying I have is that wherever you go, at any time, the ground and your breath are your best friends. They're always available. So feel the ground under your feet If you are standing at the moment or you're sitting on a chair, feel the ground under your feet. If you're sitting on the floor, feel the ground under your bottom. Think about it for a second. Is the ground hard or soft? You can use other senses to keep your thinking brain online. For example, what can you hear? Take a few seconds now to think about what you can hear. All these things help to unchain your brain and make the whole of your brain available to work with. You can use your imagination to help you even when jitters isn't causing a flip. If you practice using your imagination, you can get hold of it faster when a flip happens. The tricky part here is that we're all different, so we need to find what brings us calm. Here are a few ideas to help you. There are so many ways you can use your imagination to distract you from the jitters though. If you like counting, count. In your head, not out loud. You could count by ones, fives, tens, or any number you like. Start counting fast. Take a breath and slow down. Count backwards. Keep going until you are counting and breathing slowly. If you like colour, think of your favourite colour. Make sure it's a colour that makes you feel peaceful. If you close your eyes, can you see your colour? Imagine painting your bedroom with that colour. Every time you imagine dipping the brush in the paint, take a breath. If you like animals, think of your favourite animal. It doesn't matter what that animal is, it's yours. I've had kids tell me their favourite animals from chihuahuas to rhinoceroses and even an axolotl. Once you have your pet, give it a name. Choose a colour for it. Build it a house. What would you do with your pet? What would your pet do for you when you're worried? The more things you can imagine for your pet, the easier it will be to think of it when your brain flips. And if you like the great outdoors, think of your favourite place. Is it in the bush, the beach, or the city? What would the weather be like? What would be there with you? People, animals, or things? Give your place its own name, like Calming Cove or Wonderland. Remember, the more you imagine your place, the easier it will be to get there when you have a flip. Maybe you could be riding a horse along the beach. Think of the sounds you would hear. The sounds of the beach, the sounds of the horse, the things you would see. It's your imaginary calming place. Build it whichever way you like. But the more time you spend thinking about it, the more it will be easier to get hold of. So that's just a few tips to help you unchain your brain. There's so many more ways you can do this. It's your brain. Be creative. After this session, talk about these ideas with your teacher and classmates. When you share ideas, you never know. Someone might have something very helpful that you could use, or you might have something very helpful that they could use. That's the best part about working together and supporting each other, using each other's brains. Let's read part 2 of Jitters now to see how Alice does it. Remember last time that Dad was talking to Alice at bedtime and he told her about jitters? Jitters is one of your strongest feelings, Dad said, but you can learn to ignore jitters and be stronger than jitters. When jitters loses power, you will feel calm and put your mind on whatever you are trying to do, Dad said with a smile. Really? Said Alice. She didn't know if that would work, because jitters could be very hard to ignore. It did help her to know that Dad understood who jitters was. And she began to feel calmer and imagined she could try riding a bike, even if jitters turned up again. Dad showed Alice how to do some calm breathing to help when jitters was around. He put her teddy bear on her tummy and asked Alice to watch the teddy bear go up and down slowly while she took some deep breaths, nice and slow. Alice did that 3 times. Dad put on some quiet, relaxing music and asked Alice to choose to close her eyes and think of one of her favourite places. As Alice's eyes closed, she began to remember a really good time with her family at the beach, and she soon fell fast asleep. On the weekend at breakfast, Jake asked if they could all go to the park and ride their bikes. Mum and Dad said, "That'd be a great idea." Alice wanted to go for a ride too, but who should pop up as soon as she started to even think of riding a bike? Jitters! Alice's tummy began to twirl. "Dad," said Alice, "Jitters is here again." "I'm not surprised," said Dad. "How big does Jitters feel?" "Only small right now, but I am starting to worry," said Alice. "What should I do?" Dad asked Alice to do some calm breathing and think about the same place she had imagined when she went to sleep the night before. Alice took a deep breath and started to think about the beach, the sand, the beautiful blue water. Suddenly, Jitters began to shrink. "Wow, Dad, Jitters is getting smaller." Dad smiled and winked at Alice. "Good for you, Alice. Keep doing those things that make you calm. Jitters loses power when you do that." The family cleaned up their breakfast things and they went to the park. Within seconds, Jake was on his bike and sped off around the bike track. Dad put Alice's helmet on, and just as she was about to climb on her bike, Jitters sprang up larger than ever. Alice was so surprised that she began to cry. "I can't ride my bike, Dad," Alice cried. "Jitters is just too big." "Alice, let's take a big breath together," Dad said. They took a deep breath in, counted to 3, then pushed the breath out slowly. They did this 3 times. Alice felt a little calmer. Jitters was smaller, but still hanging around and still hard to ignore. "I think I'm ready, Dad," Alice said. "Jitters is still there, but it's much smaller and seems a bit grumpy. My tummy is not twirling and whirling anymore, it just feels a little fluttery." "That fluttery feeling is called butterflies," said Dad. "Butterflies don't have the same power as jitters. They usually come just before you try something new or exciting." Dad held the bike and walked with Alice around the track. Alice stayed calm and started thinking how fun it would be to ride her bike. The butterflies stayed for a little while. "Let go, Dad," Alice said. I wonder if she'll do it. I guess we'll find out in the next session. So in this session, you heard some ideas for how to unchain your brain. This will take practice. As soon as you recognise the flip, start taking a deep breath to calm your body. Use whatever calming tool you can to get your thinking brain back online. Counting, colour, animals, places. Find which one works best for you. The more you use your imagination to describe your calming tool, the easier it will be to get hold of it during a brain flip. Then you'll be ready to challenge your jitters and retrain your brain. I'll talk about this next time, and we'll find out if Alice manages to get the job done and ride her bike.